Question 2. DS. If x, y, and z are positive integers, and x times y equals z, what is the value of y? Condition 1. Z equals 1. Condition 2. X equals z. Solution. Now we will solve this DS question using the variable approach. Common mistake type 4B. If you get A or B as an answer too easily, then consider D. Let's apply the 3 steps suggested previously. Follow the first step of the variable approach by modifying and rechecking the original condition and the question. We have to find the value of y if x, y, and z are positive integers, and x times y equals z. Let's look at the information from the question prompt or the original condition. This is an integer question, and therefore one of the key questions. We must pay close attention to CMT3 and 4 in key questions. Also, the answer to this question will be in terms of a unique value of y, and therefore, we apply CMT2 to this question. When we look at the 2 conditions, we find one is easy and the other is more complicated. This is a very good question that demonstrates how CMT4B works and can help you on the exam. This type of question appears on the exam very often, so remember this. Follow the second and third steps. From the original condition, we have 3 variables, x, y, and z, and one equation, x times y equals z. To match the number of variables with the number of equations, we need 2 more equations. Since conditions 1 and 2 will provide one equation each, C would most likely be the answer. Recall 3 principles. Choose C as the most likely answer. Let's take a look at both conditions together. We get z equals 1 and x equals z. That is, x equals z equals 1. Substituting the value of x and z in x times y equals z, we get 1 times y equals 1, or y equals 1. Since the answer is unique, both conditions combined are sufficient according to CMT2, which means that the number of answers must be 1. Thus, C seems to be the answer by the variable approach. However, since this question is an integer question, which is also one of the key questions, we should apply CMT4A, which states if you get C as an answer too easily, then consider A or B as an answer. So, we have to consider each condition separately. Condition 2 seems to be an easy pick because of the relation between x and z as x equals z. So, let's look at condition 2 first. Condition 2 tells us that x equals z. By substituting z for x in x times y equals z, we get z times y equals z. Rearranging this gives us z times y minus z equals 0. Taking out a common factor gives us z times y minus 1 equals 0. This means y minus 1 equals 0, or y equals 1. As z does not equal 0, since x, y, and z are positive integers. Since x, y, and z are all positive, it cannot be 0. So y equals 1, and since the answer is unique, the condition is sufficient according to CMT2, which means that the number of answers must be 1. Now, condition 1 appears to be more difficult than condition 2, which is pretty easy. So we should look for CMT4B, which tells us that there is a greater probability that D is an answer. Condition 1 tells us that z equals 1. Now, substituting 1 for z in x times y equals z, we get x times y equals 1. Since x, y, and z are all positive integers, the only possible values of both x and y are 1. So, y equals 1. And since this answer is unique, the condition is sufficient according to CMT2, which means that the number of answers must be 1. If the question has both C and D as its answer, then D is an answer rather than C, by the definition of DS questions. Each condition alone is sufficient. So, D is the correct answer. There are some questions where both conditions are complicated, and many of us would answer D just because we're not able to solve the conditions. However, in some other questions, one condition is easy and the other condition is difficult. In these questions, we tend to answer A or B, depending on which condition is easy. But the actual answer, in most of these cases, is D. Always keep CMT4B in your mind when solving a question. That's important. The answer is D if condition 2 is easy and condition 1 is hard. Answer: D.